And welcome to another episode of Expert Speak. I'm Michael DeLon. Today I'm talking with Arjan Robbins. Arjan, thank you, sir, for being with me today.
You're welcome. Thank you for inviting me. I appreciate the invite. Long
Well,
time. We've been traveling in the same circles, but never connecting for going
quite
on
some,
10 years now, for a long
yeah,
time.
quite some time. It's almost like that Venn diagram that is starting to come together right in the center. So it's a joy for me to have you on here. So, Arjan, man, I mean, you got so much going on. You run a company with your I think your wife, if I'm right. You co-founded How to Manage a Small Law Firm, where you help law firms really build out their organization in structure so that they can become more profitable, more successful, have more free time, have more enjoyment. And that's where I first learned about you doing that. And then recently, I found out that you just authored the book Profit First for Lawyers. And that's what we really want to talk about today is how can lawyers really understand the numbers, really extract more profit from the business. And as we get into this topic, Arjan, I mean, you know as much as I do in the fact that profit many times is a taboo word in business, unfortunately. And you and I sit on the same side of the desk going, it shouldn't be that way. So I want to talk about that. But as we get there, how in the world did you get doing what you're doing today? Let's start there.
Well, first off, this is actually this introduction reminds me of a course that I took in college.
Okay.
And first day of class, the professor reads us the Riot Act and tells us how it's going to be such a hard class, and you should only be here if you're really dedicated, if you're really diligent, if this is really something you're serious about. And of course, the drop period had not yet ended. So, next period or the next time the class meets, half the people were gone, right?
Right.
And the professor says, okay, we got rid of all the riffraff. Now let me tell you what the class is really all about. And he tells us that it's actually not going to be that hard and it's going to be really great and all this great stuff. And so what's really interesting is how much of your audience is already gone
Mm-hmm.
because they are not able or not willing. See, I think it's giving them the benefit of the doubt to say that they're able but not willing.
Yeah.
To think more creatively and expansively about business,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because how to manage a small law firm, it could just be how to manage a small business
Yeah.
that happens to be a law firm. Because in point of fact, we manage over 550 small businesses
Mm-hmm.
run by men, women, gay, straight, black, white, Asian, Hispanic, tall, short, all different walks of life, ranging from $30 million in revenue down to startups. Um, the businesses that we manage hands-on happen to be law firms,
Mm-hmm.
but at any one of our live quarterly meetings that we host every quarter, live quarterly meeting, uh, probably 10% of the audience is owners of businesses that have nothing to do with a law firm other than the fact that the owner is married to one of our members, and they come to our meetings and they come to us all the time. Like, when are you going to start this for chiropractors? When are you going to start this for restaurants? When are you going to start this for uh, landscaping businesses? When are you going to start this for dental practices? When are you going to start this for? And I say, well, this is the niche that I'm focusing on, because you've got to pick a niche if you want to really scale your business fast, right? And they say, well, I just come here and I scratch out lawyer and I just write in my own business, and like 98.75% of it applies to me. And the most important stuff applies 100%.
Right.
And so, it's the uninspired, the uninspiring,
Yeah.
the entrepreneur who they hear about an industry that's not their industry and they think, oh, I've got nothing to learn, and they tune out. When I go to events, I mean, we've got a 5-person full-time events team. We run something like 70 live events a year,
Wow.
which is like a whole separate business that we have.
Right.
We've got multiple businesses. How to Manage a Small Law Firm is one of the businesses that we have. But when I go to events, like I'm always taking notes, like 2 notes, right? I'm taking my one set of notes, which is maybe the subject that I'm there for.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other set of notes is like, how can I learn how to run this event better? How can I learn how to run my events better? I mean, I've made millions, and that's not an exaggeration. It's probably more like tens of millions of dollars extra just on little things that I picked up going and studying how other people run their businesses that from the outside looking in have nothing to do with my business. But when you peel back the surface, they're exactly the same.
They are.
So what was your question again?
Well, no, yeah, no. How'd you get doing this? But I want to pause there because years ago I was in a family ministry, part of Campus Crusade for Christ, and Bill Bright was the founder of that, and he put out these little booklets, and he talked a lot about transferable concepts, and that's exactly what you're talking about, RJ or Arjan, is a concept for an attorney is going to transfer to an automotive repair shop, a landscaper, because at one level, business is business. There are some foundational, fundamental things we have to understand and apply. And that's what you teach.
I would say that 90% of the success of any business is the same.
Mm-hmm.
The difference between the automotive supply and the restaurant and the law firm, those are the least important details, right? That's like saying that the fundamentals that make an Italian restaurant work are completely different than the fundamentals that make a sushi restaurant work. Bro, I mean, they're the same. They're the same business. It's just a different item on the menu, right?
Mm-hmm.
The fundamentals that make a law firm work, the fundamentals that make a book publishing business work, the fundamentals that make a general contractor work, the fundamentals that make a shoe store work, they are the same, right? There's only 7 main parts of every successful business, and they're the same 7 main parts of every unsuccessful business. Marketing, sales, production, people, physical plant, financial controls, and you, the owner, and where your head is at, right? Your mindset. And so marketing is marketing. It doesn't matter whether you're marketing a law firm or marketing a bowling alley. Right. Sales is sales. Sales does change a little bit in the sense that if you're selling a product, mm-hmm. it's actually easier than if you're selling a service. Yes. In some ways, let me rephrase that. It's easier to sell a service than a product. It's easier to sell a service than a product. I've sold both. I've sold lots of both. It's harder to scale an organization that sells a service than it is to scale an organization that sells a product. It's easier to scale an organization that sells a product, but it's easier to sell a service. We're getting way sideways from Profit First, but it's all connected, right?
It is, because and you said something a few minutes ago that I want to come back to, because this is going to segue into Profit First, okay?
Yeah, I'm hoping you'll bring us back, because I feel like we're spinning out of control.
That is my job. So you had a phrase there, and it's one of my favorite phrases, and a question that I ask all the time. How can I ... So you're at that conference, you got two notes that you're taking, because you're listening, you're going, how can I apply this over here? How can I scale my business? And I think attorneys and business owners who have stayed and are still listening need to understand and ask that question. How can I profit first? What in the world is this? So let's take 2 minutes or less. And first of all, understand for my audience, help them understand what in the world is profit first, because it's totally upside down from what we're all taught. Let's start there, but then let's dive into the more of the nitty-gritty of why this book is so important for attorneys. But what is Profit First?
This book is important for all business owners.
Thank you.
If someone would just erase the word lawyer, every time you see lawyer in Profit First for lawyers,
Yeah.
erase it and write Profit First for any entrepreneur who wants to get and keep their head out of their ass.
Yeah.
You want to get and keep your head out of your ass. This book will help you.
That's it.
Even if you don't own a law firm.
Right.
And I got to preface this by saying, Mike, that we in our core business have had a waiting list for almost 3 years.
Mhm.
Like, I got nothing to sell. I'm not here pitching anything. I'm not here offering. I mean, I'd love it if everyone ran to Amazon and bought my book, or you can go to the podcast, Profit First for Lawyers, and listen to the podcast and buy the book. But I mean, your $20 book sale after Amazon takes their cut, isn't making a difference in my life at all. I promise you. I got nothing to sell that really, this is just like a labor of love. It's a gift to the entrepreneurial world.
Yeah.
And it's really a tribute to Mike Michalowicz, who asked me to write this book. He
Mhm.
asked me to write this book for lawyers. And I'll tell you that what this book is not. This book is not some piece of crap copy paste job where I just went in and rewrote Mike's book, Profit First for Lawyers. This is a completely separate book that basically is your call to action. This is your manifesto. This is the reason why you should read Profit First. This is the reason why you should implement Profit First. This is the ammunition that you need to advocate for yourself as a business owner and to defend yourself as a business owner from your accountants,
Mhm.
from your bookkeepers, from your controllers, from all those assholes who are going to try to make your profits come last.
Right.
Can I curse on your show? I don't know.
Absolutely.
Well, then
Absolutely.
fuck them. Fuck them, right? And they'll
Yeah.
do it to you. They
Yeah.
will do it to you. And you can call my controller, and my controller, you say to him, what happens the very first month you don't put my profits first? And he will say that is the month he gets fired.
Yeah.
It's non-negotiable. There are no second chances. It's over. Do not pass go. Go directly to jail. Do not collect $200. Get the fuck out. Because if you are my bookkeeper, if you are my accountant, if you are my controller, if you are my CFO, and I have last year, my businesses all together grossed something like north of 60 million, maybe $65 million between all of them. 2 of them were multiple 8-figure businesses. I got a full-time CFO. I got a full-time tax strategist. I got a full-time accountant. I got 5 full-time people in my finance department run by my controller. And they know the very first month they don't put my profit first, they are fucking out of here.
Yeah.
Why? Because I've paid millions of dollars of my money, of my blood, sweat, and tears, millions of dollars of my life have been wasted by accountants, controllers, CFOs who put my profits last because it's more convenient for them to do it that way.
Yes.
So,
and that's all they've ever been taught, right? And that's the other thing I loved about Profit First when it came out. And I love how, thank you, by the way, for not just copy pasting, right?
I hate books like that.
I
hate
do
books
too.
like that, and I hate authors like that.
I do too. And it was so refreshing for me to get this and to go, I think I know Arjan enough to know he didn't do that, but let me look. And I started looking, I'm like, oh, praise God. Okay. All right. If you're listening to this, you hear the passion that Arjan brings to the table. I think that's the passion we need to have when it comes to profit, because so many business owners are scraping by, losing money, and they're under stress because they don't have profit.
Look, the opening of this book explains how it came to be that Mike asked me to write it. And it starts off by saying this is not a substitute for reading, or better yet, listening to. If you haven't read it yet, don't bother reading it. Listen to Mike's audiobook is much better than the book.
Yeah.
Of Profit First, the regular Profit First. Read this first. Read this first because it'll prepare your mind for
Yes.
what will come.
Yes.
And if you read Profit First, but you are not fully living Profit First, read this book. It will give you the mental, emotional, mindset fortitude that you will need to stand up for yourself,
Yeah.
right? Because if you won't stand up for yourself and protect your profits, then who can really trust or depend on you in business or in life?
Right.
So
nobody else want to do it.
So I just want to promise everyone, this book is not just like like the last chapter of the book, I do like a one chapter quick summary in case you haven't read Profit First, just so you get the basic highlights of it. It's so simple. The whole Profit First can be summarized very quickly. It's very easy to summarize. It's not to take anything away from the book. You should still read the book Profit First. But this book is all about why your accountant doesn't want you to do Profit First, why your banker doesn't want you to do Profit First, why your staff doesn't want you to do Profit First, why your customers or patients or passengers, or in the case of lawyers, why your clients, they desperately wish you would do Profit First. They might not realize it, right? They're not educated enough to understand the inner workings of your business. But if they knew better, they would always prefer to be working with a business whose owner was doing Profit First. Doing Profit First will give your business a competitive advantage. You want to give
100%.
yourself a competitive advantage, do Profit First. You want to let your everyone else in the market, you want to let someone else in the market have a competitive advantage against you. Let them do Profit First, and you don't do Profit First.
Yeah. It's actually that simple, because Profit First, it changes the game, not just financially, but it changes the game mentally.
One of the leading reasons why seatbelts save lives?
Does people use them? I don't know.
Well, I mean, when they wear them.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Okay. Yeah.
Do you know the number one way that seatbelts save lives?
No.
Seatbelts prevent accidents.
Seatbelt.
Most people don't realize that. When an engineer is designing an automobile,
Okay. Yeah.
they design the automobile with certain controls in certain places. They design the steering wheel to be in front of you, not beside you, not over you, not behind you. They design the steering wheel to be in front of you. And they design the accelerator to be within reach of your right foot. And they design the brake to be within reach of your right foot. Yeah.
Right.
And that is why the seat is shaped the way the seat is shaped, to keep you from sliding around. And that's why modern cars have all those little places to grab onto so you can brace yourself as you're turning, right?
Right.
And the number one way that seatbelts actually save lives is that they prevent accidents. Because when a car begins to get out of control, maybe it hits some ice or some gravel, or someone, clips the side of the car and the car is kind of skidding sideways. The seatbelt keeps the driver in command, in control of, within reach of the controls. Because back in the old days, when people didn't wear seatbelts, the car would hit some gravel or someone would clip the side of the car, and the driver's like trying to drive the car like this sideways.
Yeah.
And they're out of control, and bam, people die, right? Seatbelts, Profit First is like a seatbelt. It keeps you in control. It keeps your mind focused on your business instead of your mind having to focus on, oh my God, how am I going to pay my mortgage? Because if you got to think about how are you going to run that next marketing campaign? How are you going to train that next salesperson? How are you going to hire and do a proper job of onboarding that next superstar employee who you finally hired? How are you going to, develop your new product or develop your new service versus how am I going to pay my mortgage versus how am I going to pay for my kids' school tuition coming up?
Mm-hmm.
The personal stuff is always going to push the other stuff aside.
Right.
Which paradoxically, the other stuff that gets pushed aside is the stuff that gives you the control you need to not have to worry about your, like, I don't have a mortgage.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even, like, the school gives us the choice of, do you want to prepay or do 2 pay or 3 pay or 5 pay and I'm like, can I just pay for the next 5 years right now and get this over with so I don't have to
Right.
think about it anymore, right? I don't, these things are not factors that occupy space in my mind anymore, right?
Right.
And because mortgages and car payments and private school tuition and the cost of the vacation that we're going to take, because those things don't occupy any space in my mind, that space is now available to think about launching the next multi-million-dollar business, salvaging the great business idea that I had that didn't work, and how am I going to save that, right? Profit First gives you your mind back. And what better thing can an entrepreneur have than clear thinking?
Yeah. No, I love how you did that, because entrepreneurs, unfortunately, they haven't gone to school. Nobody's taught them what you just said, right? I've learned it through the School of Hard Knocks, being investing thousands of dollars in masterminds and groups and reading books and understanding I'm only good at 4 things in life, Arjan. And I know that. And so I build teams around.
Is one of them fighting?
One of them's fighting, in a sense.
Is the other one reading the news?
Yeah, no thanks.
Some people will get that.
Yeah.
Others won't.
One of the concepts that I love hearing you talk about, and it's in chapter 9 of Profit First for Lawyers, is total owner benefits.
Yeah, I don't need to go. I was gonna say, tell me which page it's on, but I know I can explain that.
Yeah, page 70. You can explain it, because
And by the way, this book, I sat down and wrote this book in 9 days.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you know that. I wrote this book in 9
That's
days.
amazing. Yeah.
It was Mike gave me Mike asked me to write the book, and 2 years went by and I couldn't figure out how to write the book. Because I kept coming back to the same copy paste piece of crap that I didn't want to do.
Right.
And so finally Mike calls me one day. He's like, listen, dude, it's been 2 years. I asked you to write the book. Either get it done by this deadline or I'm giving it to someone else. I'm like, okay, I'll do it. And I went down to the Florida Keys and we rented a house for the summer. And I literally just parked myself in the kitchen every morning for 9 days. And 9 days, this book came out. It was a labor of love. It's really, even if I do say so myself, it's a great book. I wrote it myself. I stand behind every word, every typo, every punctuation error. It's all me.
Yeah. And that's good. And one of the reasons I believe you could do that, Arjan, is because of the decades of experience and work and passion and hard knocks and failures and successes that have led up to that point, that you know how to run a business. You happen to focus most of your energies on helping lawyers. But as you said earlier, it's transferable.
I focus on helping owners of law firms.
There you go. Love that.
You asked me about total owner benefits.
Yes.
What would you like me to explain about total owner benefits? Because I could talk for hours on the subject.
Yeah. Well, right underneath that, the heading, right? How profitable is your law firm compared to mine, right? Total owner benefits. I think when you talk to an entrepreneur about that, they're going to start thinking their 401k and things. Just unpack.
All right. So it's like this. For years, I struggled. We struggle. We manage, like I said, over 550 law firms. By the time anyone listens to this, maybe it's even over 1,000 at this point. The point making is, we struggle with the same problem. It keeps showing up every time you go to a mastermind group. You run into the same problem. right? Someone will say, how much did your business gross? My business grossed X, your business grossed Y. That's an apples to apples comparison. We know whose business grossed more. How many employees do you have? My business has this many employees, your business has that many employees. And we know whose business has more employees. We know whose business is generating more revenue per employee than the other. These are objectively easy to compare and contrast numbers.
Right.
But then you get to the question of profit. And profit is a very difficult number to compare, right? Because you might have a really smart, sophisticated, well thought out, well planned tax strategy. And my tax strategy might have been thrown to me by my CPA in 15 minutes as a prize inside of a box of Cracker Jacks, right?
Right.
You might have one retirement investment strategy for your future. I might have a different, right? And depending on your tax strategy, depending on your retirement strategy, depending on your strategy when it comes to disability insurance and other things like that, you may move some of your profits into W-2 salary, or you might move some of those profits into other business expenses, or you might move some of those or you might move it all into profits, right? So if you're getting ready to sell your business in 3 years, you're probably going to stop running as many expenses through your business.
Yeah.
Forego the tax benefits of doing so in order to make the K1 profit report bigger. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe if I'm trying to maximize my disability insurance, or if I'm trying to maximize, my income for, I'm planning to buy a big home or something like that, maybe I want to forego some of the tax benefits and forego some of the quote unquote profits that would go on the K1 and move it more into W-2 salary, right? So now you get to a situation where both of us, let's just say for argument's sake, have a $1 million business grossing $1 million. And let's say both of us have the same number of employees who make the same amount of salary, and we have the same rent, and we have the same prices, and we have the same cost of goods sold, and everything's exactly the same. And you say you have a, let's say 10% profit. And I come along and I say, well, Mike, I'm better than you. You're obviously an idiot who should listen to me because I have a 20% profit. Well, meanwhile, we might have the exact same total owner benefits. It's just that you are moving more of your total owner benefits into tax strategy expenses and W-2 salary. And maybe I have a lower W-2 salary and I'm not smart about any of the tax savings, and I just plow it all into K1 profits and then pay taxes on it, right? And so in that chapter, I explain how and why you have to look at total owner benefits, which is your W-2 salary, your K1 profits, and the value of all the benefits you run through the business to come up with a real number, so that at the end of it, you could say that you took $300,000 in total owner benefits out of your $1 million business, which is 30%. And I took $300,000 of total owner benefits, which is also 30% out of my $1 million business. And look, now we have an apples to apples comparison instead of this ego fest, this what measuring contest that happens at too many gatherings where people talk about profits without really defining profits. And you can't define profits without having an hour-long conversation that involves looking at your tax strategy and your tax returns. Otherwise, you're just throwing numbers around.
Right. It's just a number. And what you did there, thank you for doing that, is what you're going to get when you get the book, because he just talked about mindset, and I can just see the smoke, Arjan, rolling out of people's minds going, what did he just say? So I encourage you to go back about 5 or 6 minutes and re-listen to that, because this is what it is required to run a solid, profitable business that's going to give you the lifestyle you really want. It's not all the hoopla and junk that you hear. It's buckling up, buckling down, understanding this, having the right mindset. Where do you find it? You find it here, right? And that's why I love Read Profit First. It's amazing. This book does so much more to take that concept and broaden it out, and it's practical. That's the other thing. In part 2 of this, you've got some very practical aspects. And through the whole book, by the way, I've got to give you the kudos. And we're telling more and more clients to do this, is you've got QR codes in here to go to additional resources that you make available, because you can't put them all in here. So
And they change,
and
right?
they,
And as things change, the resource is
yes,
always updated and updated and updated. And like I said, we have a waiting list. Look, I've got multiple businesses. How to Manage a Small Law Firm last year grossed $30 million. This year it's tracking to gross 33 or $34 million, somewhere in that range. We're not even halfway through the year yet, but we're tracking that way. That's just one of my businesses. I've got lots of other businesses, and most of my businesses, let's just say How to Manage Small Law Firms had a waiting list for 3 years.
mm-hmm.
Our bookkeeping business, which we've had for 5 years now, that's got a waiting list also. The waiting list to get onto the waiting list for the bookkeeping business, you first have to be a member of How to Manage Small Law Firm. So there's a waiting list to get into How to Manage Small Law Firm. And then once you're in How to Manage Small Law Firm, there's a waiting list for the bookkeeping business. So I promise you, like I'm telling the audience, like I'm not trying to sell you something. I'm just trying to share with you, because you got to pay it forward. And these are all things that I learned the hard way. And when Mike asked to be on the podcast to share this stuff, I'm always happy to share. And that's why I wrote the book. I didn't write the book because I need clients, right?
Yeah, he needs the royalties, folks. No, not at all. It's the mindset. It's the paying it forward. It's the pivoting of the mind, and how do we see ourselves and our business, and what's the purpose there? And if you're a business owner and you're truly passionate about serving your team, your clients, and your family, maybe not in that order, you need to get a copy of this book and not just read it. You need to consume it. You need to highlight it. You need to wait for maybe the audiobook to come out. Because instead of buying another 6 or 8 or 10 books, may I recommend you buy one, and you spend the next 6 or 8 or 10 months in this book reading it over and over, because here's what's going to happen. You are going to grow. And when you read chapter 3 for the 3rd time, you're going to go, oh, I never saw that. That's because you've grown and the book hasn't changed. But that book, Profit First for Lawyers, is all about change in yourself, in your business, in the community. Is that fair?
Bob Proctor talks about this. He talks about the difference between people who read like 50 books in a year versus what would happen if maybe you only read 5 books in a year.
Yes.
But you reread each of those books 5 times, right? And I've got certain books that I've been rereading and re-listening and rereading and re-listening to the same books for 10 years.
Yes.
And every time, as the owner of 60 something million dollars of gross revenue, I'm not the same person.
Right.
When I reread Think and Grow Rich, I'm not the same person as I was when I was losing my house to foreclosure and desperate and broke and struggling when I read it back then.
Right.
I'm a different person now. And so it's a different book now.
Yes.
But that's a whole valuable lesson for everyone listening to this about how to really maximize your investment of the time and the energy you get out of any book, not just my book.
That's right. Yeah. And you've got to go back through, and my counsel is always have a pen in hand, date date your book when you underline it, because what happens to me,
That's a
Arjan,
great
I
idea,
go
yeah.
back and I see, oh, I remember that. I was in the Bahamas when I did that 7 years ago. Oh, look at where I've come, right?
Mhm.
Different highlighters for different readings. A green one once, a blue
I'm
one.
not that organized.
I know it, but this is just how I think, because my
I
book,
love that idea. I'm not that organized.
this
I wish
book
that I
is
was. What else would you
um,
like to talk about the book?
no, I think, man, we could dive so deep into so many things. What I want people to do, if they're getting
And there's
the,
a podcast. Listen, everyone, if you're not sure if you want to make the investment in the book, download the podcast, listen to the podcast. If by the middle of the first season you're not hooked and you don't love it, the book won't be any better.
that's right. That's
If
right.
you
And
hate the podcast, don't read the book.
exactly. Yeah. But you're going to love the podcast, because you're going to get this from a multitude.
Unless you're super uncool, in which case you won't like the podcast.
That's right. And don't subscribe and don't buy the book and don't give us a review. But this book is one of those books that's going to be on the bookshelf. It's going to be a resource for you, but also for your team. So I'd say buy one
Yeah.
copy, you read it, and then buy other copies for your team and get them on
You
board.
would do yourself a great favor if you have a bookkeeper or an accountant or a controller or a tax strategist.
Yeah.
You would do yourself a great favor to give them a copy of this book and not ask them to read it, but tell them this is a condition of our continuing to do business together, is you must read this book. We must discuss this book. You got to agree with this. You got to agree,
Yes.
or we can't do business together. Because if they don't agree, I promise you, if there's one thing in this book that you as an entrepreneur don't agree with or believe in, I mean, I'll buy it back from you, right? I mean, I know that's a money back guarantee, $20, right? No one cares. I'm just trying to make the point. You're going to agree. I think you're going to find, what people tell me is that this book, I somehow found the words to say what they've been trying to get their accountant and their controller to understand for all these years.
Yes.
Give them this book to read.
Absolutely. And then mandate they read it.
Even if you're not a lawyer, even if you don't have a law firm,
Right.
it's going to apply. I promise you.
Yeah, absolutely. Arjan, I think you and I mean, we could talk for hours and hours and hours. That's why you have the podcast. That's why you've created the book. What's the next step for somebody in my audience going, okay, great. Is it Amazon? Where can they find the podcast, get more resources? What's their
Yeah, I'd
next?
say go to the podcast. I mean, you can go to the podcast anywhere you like to listen to podcasts. It's Profit First for Lawyers. Listen to the podcast, and the show notes will have all the links to buy the book on Amazon or wherever else you want to buy the book.
Awesome. I love that. And I love the whole marketing. I mean, you know as well, Profit First for Lawyers, profitfirstforlawyers.com, Profit First for Lawyers podcast. Folks, it's great marketing, but it's going to change the way you think about yourself, your business, your team, your employees. And at the end of the day, it's going to impact your bank account in massive ways. But honestly, that's secondary.
All right, I'm turning the tables on you first.
Yeah.
Turning the tables on you.
Okay.
What did you start doing differently in your business based on something you took from this book? I know you shared the book with your son, who now runs your business with you.
Yes.
What did you take from this book that your audience, because your audience knows you, they don't know me.
That's
they
right.
trust you, they don't trust me.
Yeah. So we've been running Profit First for a number of years, right? And what you did is the 7 main parts of every successful law firm is, I looked at those and I said, that's the same 7 successful parts of our business. And so what Caleb and I are doing right now is looking at those 7 things, those 7 pieces and parts of our company, and going, where are we good? Where do we need work? And how do we get to that next level? Because I'm a typical entrepreneur, Arjan. I get sucked into the wrong things, and that's not profitable for me or my company. And so those 7 steps, those 7 parts that you've lined out in this book that I don't think are in Profit First, really brought it to the forefront to go, we need to look more clearly at those 7. That's what I took out of your book, Profit First for Lawyers, that Caleb and I are working on.
That makes me very happy.
Yeah. Well, it makes me very happy to have you here and to share your expertise with my audience. I want to have everything we talked about in the show notes so our audience can just click, listen to the podcast, go buy the book, Profit First for Lawyers, and really allow it to transform your life, your business, and those that you serve. Arjan, thank you. Thank you for
Thanks for
being.
having me.
You are welcome. It's been a joy. Thanks for listening to Expert Speak. Tune in again next week for another great episode.